Hello world, greetings to you from the Santa Cruz Mountains. As you can see behind me, it's very beautiful here. I'm just going to do a check-in for both my EDS people as well as Danny's fans on YouTube, since we are doing this collaborative healing project that follows me through my journey of healing by Danny Picard. He is the founder of the Epic Human Project, and as mentioned before, you can find him on Facebook at facebook.com/slash the Epic Human Project, or on his website, which is theepichuman.com. As well, you can always find my videos and information on my Facebook page, which is facebook/EDS Nutritional Healing. So it's been about a week since I did my first session with Danny, and that session kind of took shape, and I'll walk you through what we did and then kind of what I've been experiencing since then. So, the first thing that we did was kind of a talk therapy or guided realizations activity with Danny, where he was really helping me explore what my highest excitements in life were, and what maybe wasn't working for me. And these were self realizations that he just kind of asked me questions, and I was able to kind of figure out what made sense from those questions. I came to my own conclusions. So that's kind of a favorite of mine because I'm very stubborn and I don't like people to tell me, that they think this conclusion or that thing about a specific scenario concerning me. So this kind of thing was super effective with me because I'm a very bullheaded person. So it worked well with me. And so one of the things that I realized through that session was that I've always decided to keep pursuing the um, rescuer or even martyr person in regards to my relationships with others, which is I really like trying to save the world because it makes me feel good and it makes them feel good. But what I wasn't recognizing was that I also happen to help people that have not asked for help. So that leaves me feeling resented by them, or me feeling resentful towards that person because they're not heeding my advice. Or I feel really tired because I'm trying to save the world in any way possible. So I kind of went home with that piece of advice and really started immediately applying it. And it's made a lot more room and space for me to take responsibility just for me and not for other people, which has been quite an amazing process, because it also has allowed me to stop enabling others in their specific behaviors so they can have their own journey. So that was a really amazing realization that I had. The next thing we did was hypnosis. As you may know, you can do hypnosis for healing, for energy, for just about anything, and you can do it to change the automatic default pattern that your brain goes into. So if your automatic default is negativity, you can do hypnosis every day that, is basically a string of positive affirmations where, you put into your mindset that you're going to think positively and see the bright side of every scenario. And the more you listen to it, the more it kind of shifts your baseline of thinking. So that's really amazing. And I've been doing the session that Danny actually recorded for me while I was at his house, which was about being an empath and not taking on other people's stuff. So that's been very freeing. He also sent me one on healing and energy. And mind you, I will be completely blunt and honest about the fact that I have not been doing it every day. On the days I do it, I find a lot more ease from which I operate. And on the days that I don't, I seem to struggle a bit more because it takes more brain power to get back to that place of balance and then operate from there. So it's definitely helpful, but I do have to take responsibility and dive even deeper if I want to see stronger results I did do one from him on abundance, and that leads me to one of the other things that we talked about in the session was that I had always come to the conclusion that when I manifest things and choose to put energy towards them, that I should be super specific. For example, not saying I just want a job, but rather saying I want a job in this specific area, doing this very specific work, getting paid this specific amount. And while in theory I think I do have my highest excitement in mind in those scenarios, I ultimately don't have the knowledge of the universe, and perhaps I do have to experience other situations before I get to a highest excitement that I didn't even know I wanted. So um, I'm really learning to leave the door wide open for manifestation, for abundance, for love, and not leave it so confined into this specific box of what I want it to look like. Because if I put it in that box of specific parameters, Danny and I were discussing that I am then sending out the vibration that I'm blocking all of these other types of abundance and wealth and healing when it can come in so many forms. So that's something really interesting that I keep kind of mulling over in my head. And at moments, I want to kind of say, no, that's not right. I have to be super specific because I know what's best. I have my highest self in mind and I have that knowledge. But maybe I don't have the specific consciousness at this point to unlock certain things that I don't know are coming. Because if we knew how life was going to go, we would have all been billionaires and been super successful by this point because we would have already had all of the answers. So it's like learning to trust something that I didn't think I needed to learn to trust before. So um, that's just kind of sharing about the session that we had and the realizations that I came to during the session and what I took away. But I also wanted to share a couple of things that have happened since then. So I mentioned that it's been about a week, and I also mentioned in my last video that I've been struggling with like mood swings and body issues, and quite honestly, those have. Sorry about the wiggliness. I have the camera on my knees here, um, but I have still continued to struggle with those same things, and if I'm being honest, they've actually taken on a higher intensity since I had the work with Danny. However, what I'm recognizing is that I think it's actually my body and mind and energetic body purging all of the things that are false, that are not true. And so, a really gross example is thinking about like a blemish on your face and how it's trying to get all the toxins out of your body and it's getting them out of your skin as like the last resort. And then you get rid of the gross stuff in the blemish and then the body heals. So I keep thinking about the fact that I keep having terrible mood swings, hormone issues, and generally being really hard on myself. Those are all things that are coming to a head because they're ready to leave my body. So, I kind of had a suspicion that going into this, it wasn't going to be a slow, quick, good feeling process the whole way through. But they always say that growth is really uncomfortable, and I think that that might be part of what I'm feeling right now. But in that purging, I'm also learning that the people around me have a lot of patience and love to show me, and them showing me that patience and love in these scenarios is actually teaching me and revealing to me that I too am to learn to be patient and loving with other people and compassionate, which I struggle with. I struggle with being compassionate and patient with people that are really close to me, specifically significant others. Whereas, I could go out of my way and do something wonderful for someone on the street who is struggling. It's this trigger that I have about people that are super close to me that I have such a hard time just like letting them in. I have neuroses through the roof about people, like giving me hugs in a certain way or, not doing this certain thing because it doesn't feel good, and it's just like walls and walls and walls of blocks that I have because I don't want to let people in because of past things that I've experienced. So it's really, really excuse my language, really fucking uncomfortable to look at those walls and press up against them and see if they're really there or if they're something I've created to not get hurt emotionally or physically for that matter. So I'm learning so much from this scenario, but it's not awesome in a way, but I know that it's going to clear out, so that's where that's coming from. I did get a Reiki attunement, my third, I think it's master level Reiki attunement. I had levels 1 and 2 done back in 2010. So now it's fitting that 5 years later I finally did the third level. And Danny definitely hypothesized that part of what was happening with me is that I've still been stuck vibrating at a way lower level than I'm capable of. And so it was just like I was stuck in muck when everything else in me was wanting to operate at a much higher level. So I went for it. So I had that Reiki attunement. And when he did the Reiki attunement, quite honestly, it's hit or miss with me whether I feel the energy work that someone's doing. It can be through the roof, wild, or it could be I barely feel anything at all. But what I felt when he was doing the Reiki attunement is it felt as if I went into kind of a trance state just sitting there in the chair, and it kind of felt as though my brain turned into this series and system of gears like you'd see in a robot or something. And as he was doing the attunement, it felt like little things were being tinkered with and turned and adjusted. It was this wild feeling that I had. And so it felt like something was definitely changing. But then I left and I had to sleep. I was super tired. And I don't know, it was just kind of a different experience for me. So that's what the Reiki attunement felt like. But I have noticed, and I woke up in the middle of the night last night thinking about this, I have noticed that my ability to heal my body has markedly increased. I injured or tore my shoulder somehow last week to the point where I was not able to like lift my hand to open the doorknob of the door or take my shirt on and off over my head because it was so excruciatingly painful I couldn't lift my arm. And 2 nights ago when I came down to Santa Cruz in the mountains, it came to a head and it was terribly painful and I was crying all night and it was just miserable. And I sat with myself and I thought, okay, this is being delivered to me. What do I do with it? Am I going to choose to suffer? Am I going to choose to pretend it's not happening? Or am I going to take my own abilities and heal myself? So I sat there in the dark, in pain, and I put my hand on my shoulder and I just asked that the light move through my hand and that I was just showing my shoulder love and could it please, heal and work through this because my income is based on me being able to move my arms at the moment. So I did that and I didn't even notice it because I fell back asleep, but I pieced it together in the morning that finally, after that point, which was excruciating and terrible, when I laid my hand on my shoulder, that's when I was able to then finally fall asleep and rest. And I woke up yesterday morning and it was still painful and I was still scared, but it was not even close to what it was the night before. And I went and I worked yesterday at a wedding, and being in that environment also was super healing. So keep in mind that when you're doing these things, I feel like you're opening up yourself to an exploration of your highest excitement. And I went into this scenario yesterday and I had a lot of pain still. But by the end of the night, it was nearly gone because I found myself interacting with these amazing people, seeing so much love at this wedding, and it was like this outside source of healing also came around to kind of embrace me and say, it's going to be okay. You pushed through this. You were acknowledging the self-healing, and now you chose to follow your highest excitement and go do this project that you've been wanting to do, and I'm going to, like bring that full circle and help continue to heal your body. So it's come full circle in a number of days when, on Friday or Saturday, I was worried that I was going to have surgery for a torn shoulder. So my mind is blown. at the rapidness of healing, and also my psychic abilities are coming back pretty strongly. So that's another thing I'm paying attention to. It was closed off for a while, so things are slowly trickling in, and I know that the discomfort and the growth part is not over, but all of these changes are slowly trickling in as well, and it's quite brilliant and amazing. Um, the last piece I'm going to share with you is that I chose to quit this very high paying job that I had when I moved to the Bay Area. Um, I really thought that it was going to be something that I wanted to do long term, even though, in the back of my mind, I do have this draw to helping people heal and helping them enjoy their lives through things like wedding receptions, event planning, things like that, because it really just like gets me excited every time I get to do something like that. And so I took this other job and I was like, man, this money's really great, but I started to realize that it wasn't feeding my soul. So I quit. And the real challenge in that scenario was that um, I thought that once I quit, just all this other stuff was going to come pouring in because I chose to take the leap. But I've had to slowly just know that I'm going to be okay, and I felt more peace in the idea of not full-time income than ever before. I've been piecing together cleaning jobs and organizing jobs and things like that, and I have not let myself use my credit card, and you know what? It's been brilliant. It's like this almost like universe game every day of where I say, okay, universe, like what can we do right now? Like, what can you help provide for me, because I need to pay the phone bill. And while, the idea of living paycheck to paycheck is not, ideal in our minds, what more could I ask for to be completely covered with all of my expenses somehow, some miraculous way, and still get to do things like come down to the mountains on the weekends and have, a 3 or 4 day weekend if I choose, because I make my own schedule now. So it's this beautiful thing that I'm learning, and I'm so incredibly grateful. So that is what I wanted to share with all of you. If you have any questions, as always, get a hold of me on Facebook or get a hold of me on this video on YouTube, or you can also get a hold of Danny that way. I will post the links at the bottom of the video. If you guys have any questions at all, I would be happy to do a Q&A session. I'm an open book. If you're scared of healing work, or you believe it's not real, or you kind of want to do it but you're scared, anything like that, please get in touch with me. I wasn't always in this mindset or of this experience either, and things can just happen, and it's quite amazing. So we want you to be able to live your highest excitement and do what feels good to you. We are tired of seeing people suffering, and we want to see everybody happy in some way, in whatever way that looks like to you. So until next time, we hope that everyone enjoys life and experiences a lot of love and light. So we'll see you next time.